Ahoy, hoy, friends. Welcome to the Salon. It is Thursday. It's 6:30 p.m.-ish Pacific. It is time to talk about Star Trek with all of your Saloners. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to my fellow Salon crew. Welcome to the audience. Always lovely to have you. We are talking about Season 5, Episode 7 of Star Trek Discovery. We're coming down to the last episodes of Discovery. And what an episode. Lots happened today. And I can't wait to talk about it with our intrepid crew here. But before we talk about that, before we get into the episode, we simply must set an intention.
I refuse to let this candle die. It's going to burn for as long as that little wick will survive. So, in honor of something that occurred during this week's episode that we're going to discuss, I'm super curious about my fellow Saloners' favorite sort of Trek surprise or Trek plot twist. As always, I will begin by sharing that I felt really stupid when everyone started talking about season 1 of Discovery and they all started talking about how they all saw the mirror universe stuff coming, and I was completely clueless during my first watch. I don't know how I missed it. It was kind of embarrassing, but this is a safe space and I feel safe sharing. Totally missed most of it. I sort of started putting it together around the time Burnham did, which is basically exactly at the reveal. But yeah, it flew right over my head for some sad and embarrassing reason. But there it is. That's mine. I'd like to go around the room and talk about yours. And now the room is moving, which is very disorienting.
Sorry, I wanted to balance out the lights.
All good. It's all good. No worries. Sorry, Will. Now it's going to be Matt first because Matt moved from slot 4 to slot 6. So, Mateo.
Such a slot.
Mm-hmm.
I have moved through a lot of slots before.
Or never mind. Carry on.
A lot of things have moved through my slot before.
There you go. There it is.
There's a Vegas joke in there. Anyway.
Oh, and we have a new font again. I love it.
I am capable of accepting feedback and making adjustments. And if you watch last week's episode, just look at Will's face at the first problematic gay alert and you'll realize why that font had to change.
My stank face really does affect change. So everyone is aware.
He just
the
redid
pseudo
it. And it was
papyrus
adorable.
didn't really fit into the Star Trek theme, I don't think.
Also, feel free to join and subscribe to Stan's spinoff, Fun with Fonts. Anyway, Mateo, take it away.
Okay, best plot twist in Trek.
Or surprise for the faces.
Or surprise, yeah. I actually really still like, and it's kind of a multi-layer for it. Course Oblivion, when we start with the Voyager crew and you see the marriage of Tom and B'Elanna, and then we start going through, and then you find out that they are actually the silver goo from the demon world. I thought that was a really fun and honestly a very heart-wrenching episode, like surprisingly heart-wrenching.
I cried.
Every time I watch that, I get this like, ugh, like, because it's the crew. That's the crew.
Mm-hmm.
They are, even though they're not, and they get so close within, they're within the same star system. And
when Gooey Janeway dies and Neelix, Seven's continuing on and going to do her best. And
if I had tear ducts, I too would have shed a tear.
He's a secret Klingon, everybody.
Thank you, Matt. Krista, what's your favorite Trek plot twist or surprise?
Mine is more sort of a curious character choice, depiction of a character choice. I like that in a world of everybody knows Taekwondo and they're all physically imposing, they're highlighting Tarina as more of an intellectual badass. When she is in the room, she owns the room. She doesn't have to go physical fisticuffs or anything. She just owns the room. And I think it's a very interesting choice that sort of makes her look much stronger and somewhat diminishes the abilities of others because they do engage so much, but she just sort of owns it. And you know, the best scene in today's episode was when she correctly interpreted the
Krista, we're getting some subspace static on our end.
And it was just
Oh,
there she is. She's out of the wormhole.
Is that me?
Yeah.
And I'm still in the wormhole. I like that they're making the choice to fuck me.
No,
today.
They haven't made the choice to fuck. We have not made the choice to fuck.
But the delay is hilarious.
You got the gist.
We did. Reno for the win. Love it. Well, I am. Break it down.
My favorite plot twist in Star Trek is Sela, her showing up. I thought it was that
you and Joel
gets me. That episode. Yeah, there we go, Joel. That episode when she's kind of revealed, it's like even now when I watch that go through TNG again, I always forget that that's going to happen that episode. Then it shows up and I'm like, oh damn, it's fucking Sela again. And calling back to an earlier episode, having that kind of tie in and not being just a throwaway thing that Tasha went back with the Enterprise C, that it has repercussions, I think is such a genius little snippet of writing. And it I don't know, that's my favorite one. And I will say it again. I will say it. She should have been in Star Trek Nemesis, and it's stupid that they had Sinatra in it. I'm just saying it. She should have been the person. Anyway, regardless, moving on. Sela. Favorite.
In a film of Trek errors and mistakes, that was the most egregious. I agree.
Yeah, and I think the note. I remember the note being for that was that they were too worried about the history of the character convoluting what was going on. I was like, girl, only 5 Trekkies and me went and saw that, so you might as well just put it in there. Damn, just do it anyway. Not that.
Agree. Joanne.
So mine is from TNG. It's the Defector with what's his name? Admiral Jarek and Commander Jarak. Kuna Matata.
Bless you.
Command and Tamalak. We kind of knew he was a defector, but I thought it was really powerful when he was just like, let me see the captain, tell him Admiral
Akuna
Matata is on, wants to talk to him. And is this also the one where Tamalak is like, we're going to display the broken bow of the Enterprise. You have 60 seconds to decide. And Picard goes, I don't require one, and the Klingons uncloak. Fierce.
Was one of her fiercest moments.
Was that the Defector? That was. Oh, that's a really good episode then. I was thinking those were 2 separate ones. Good call, Joanne. Yeah.
Fearless leader, take us home.
I have many, but I love the Seska reveal. I thought in a very predictable episode after episode kind of vibe with, I love Voyager, but a lot of things ended up being fairly predictable. That one I thought was done really organically over the course of several episodes. We got her being very Maquis. The fact that she was Cardassian was such a cool twist. I loved that, she was probably colluding with the Kazon. She's a Maquis. That's what they do. And then the twist of her actually being a Cardassian and having been lying to Chakotay the entire time. chef's kiss. And the actress is great. I wish we got more of her on Deep Space Nine as well as to Rule, but I'm glad that we got her as Seska as much as we did. And the episode later when she was the holodeck character, but then it turned out that Seska herself found that program years earlier and turned it into a big fuck you to Tuvok. Was great. Another twist upon a twist. Seska
was serving a word someone else should say because I can't say it because my mother's in my house.
Cunt!
Thank you.
The subtle echo in that
Yeah, it was
just
great.
so much. It was ringing the halls of
That should actually
Clip
be
that.
a new alert.
Clip
That needs to be a clip, and it just needs to it just needs
Clip
to echo
that now.
from now
Oh
until
my
the end of
God.
days.
Yeah, we'll see how long that stays up on YouTube, but I feel like it'll work as a good clip.
High on a hill sits a lonely cunting cunt. All right.
Yodel, girl. All of them, Norman. I loved all of the Seska twists.
And twits.
Lovely intention setter as always, Trevor. Excellent
Thank you.
work.
Please highlight Chris's comment that just came in. That he wants Krista's voice as his text notification.
Yes. Yeah. For when your best friend and your mortal enemy sends you a text.
I have a new idea for Salon merch.
Trev, I was just about to say, we are going to take that snippet and sell it as a ringtone, sell it as an alert tone. Krista, you're about to be the breadwinner for this entire channel.
Yes.
We're going to make a comm badge where when you tap it, that just echoes out of it.
I'm down because I'm just trying to type in cunt on the comments. And this comment has failed to post to Salon Trek because
that happened to me last season.
You're not
last
allowed
season.
to say bad words. So cunting, cunt, asshole, motherfucker, shit for brains.
I forget what exactly I typed out last week on the Salon in response to something one of y'all said. No swear words, no anything, and the filter caught it for some reason. It's like. Salon Trek does not allow this on their channel. I'm like, I am Salon Trek. What the fuck are you talking about? Ugh. All right, y'all. Let's talk about Star Trek Discovery, shall we? Episode 7, Erigah. Before we deep dive into various parts, we're going to get into our top thoughts. "60-second high-level top thoughts on this episode." We'll go in the same order. Let's start with Matt, and then Krista, Will, then Trevor, Joanne, and I will close us out.
I actually thought this episode was pretty fun. I love the Breen. Always love the Breen. I think they're one of my favorite enemies. Ship design to the whole mystique. So I love getting to see the Breen even more. Yeah. Overall great. And we got pretty authentically clear shots of 32nd century ships, which we all know I would have tattooed all over my body if I could. Just all of this. I actually would love to do that as a sleeve. Just all of the Star Trek ships. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was good.
I also like the Breen. I find they're very interesting. I think they're very black and white, simplistic viewpoint is easy to decipher. I was not surprised that he was royalty and was going to be used as a pawn. I have to say that I'm getting increasingly exhausted by we have an hour to do something, and within that hour, we're going to shove 45 minutes of intense emoting, and it's too much for me. and I am sorry that L'ak, of Bonnie and Clyde, I would have preferred Bonnie to die than Clyde. I liked Clyde. I think Clyde had a code. And so I'm sorry to see him go, whichever face he wears. And but again, there's a lot of emoting going on. Also, one thing that really bothered me was they came down on Rayner for things, and we're jumping ahead in the agenda, but they came down on Rayner for things being personal, but we're going to give Book a pass because I know how much he means to you, Burnham, and so I go easy on him. And it's kind of like, you know, let's try for a little consistency. And it feels like Book is just sort of shoehorned into this story in a way that is becoming more obvious. And also it's very fortunate that the specific people on this ship are on this ship, because it correlates to all of the things that they need to do. It's the most miraculous thing of plot devices sewn together sort of obviously. And I'll try to come up with something really nice by the end of the show.
I enjoyed this episode. I find this episode kind of is very similar to the episode with Osira and Vance, like that kind of negotiation thing. And I think that might be one of the things that Discovery does well, like that kind of high stakes negotiation courtroom moment. I feel like the times we've had that, it's been really successful. And I think this is another example of that. I am exhausted by the Moll L'ak storyline. Like, RIP, dude, but like, seriously, I'm so over it. Like, I'm beyond over it. I was over her in her dusty wig 2 episodes ago, and I'm over it now. Like, I can't. I shudder at the possibility of what is going to happen in the following weeks with her, because I find her absolutely insufferable. I was like, girl, go, we get it. You shop at Hot Topic, get over it. Like, I'm so sick of her. But other than that, the Rayner stuff really good. There was some interesting character development. Some of the stuff I feel like sometimes with this show, especially this season, it feels like people are like a little too overly protective of people in an emotional way, where they're not thinking logically about the situation. Like, if we got like Tilly's ready to leave because she's like, I have to go to my cadets. I was like, they're your fucking, they're like not your actual kids. Like they are military personnel that are at Earth. You should assume that they're being protected. Like it feels like everyone at the drop of a hat is willing to run to like some emotional tether they have, which is indicative of this show. But like, I'm finding it exhausting. No, it's like getting something. It's like, Mama, she's wearing the Shein wig that Nurse Chapel's got. I don't know what she's got there. The thing is Wish. It's terrible. Anyway, yeah. Other than that, thought it was really good. Interesting stakes. Really interesting stuff with the Breen. That dreadnought being absolutely fucking massive was really impressive. Like, I'm sick of all the ships being very similarly sized, and getting a ship that is the size of a fucking planet is like dope. Anyway. Also, I'm a little frustrated we know more about the Breen political system than we do about the Federation. Why do we know more about their fucking shit than the Federation at this point? And why are they calling Tarina president? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, other than that, liked it.
Well, Trina is president of Navarre.
It's implied that she's taking president of the Federation, because it says, I'm standing in for President Tarina.
She said, "This I am president Tarina of Navarre."
Yeah. This is one of the pieces that benefits from a rewatch, because the dialogue does say, Vance says,
quickly past it.
Yeah. Vance says, Rillick is over here. She's staying there for safety. Tarina, actress who was available this week. I'm the president of Navarre. I've been asked to step in.
Yeah, which is fine, but the way contextually, it makes it sound like she has been given the title of president of the Federation. Like, in the context of the scene, it seems like she is that. Because it doesn't say president Navarian President Tarina. It is President Tarina, so it makes it seem without that additional descriptor.
And not to nitpick, but to sort of piggyback on what Will was saying, it's a little like there's some crazy issue happening and it requires extensive negotiation from President Biden, but it's too dangerous, so we've secured him elsewhere, and the governor of Maryland will be stepping in. Like, it's a little weird, like,
And that is not the governor you want replacing President Biden in negotiations. Trust me.
The governor of Maryland? I don't know. The former or the current? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Not the topic of this week's episode. So overall, I enjoyed the episode. I obviously, since I selected our intention setter to talk about twists, I was not expecting to kill off Bonnie or Clyde. So killing off Clyde was kind of shocking for me. I think it is somewhat telling, though. My favorite part was all things Tarina, though I think it would have made more sense to make her vice president of the Federation and Rillick was unavailable due to some other emergency that will be revealed in the finale or something crazy like that. But I love the character. I love everything that Krista said about her. She is fantastic, and I love her in all ways. But the mechanics of it are a little clunky. Yes, indeed, she is. And if you're listening on Twitter, you have no idea what the visuals just look like, so you have no idea why I'm referring to things that you can't see. But you should join us on YouTube. Also, one of my other favorite things, which is ridiculous, was Culber's weather jacket, the cold weather jacket. I'm like, that was pretty fucking fabulous. And it would be cool to see everyone else wearing them in their division colors. That would be kind of amazing. Anyway, I will shop for one and wear it eventually to a con. Yeah, I mean, the story moved along. There was less clunkiness than there's been in some other episodes. This one, I do think will benefit from a rewatch, which I haven't done yet. So that's certainly an issue for me, and I'll try to refrain from saying anything too negative until I've done that. But yeah, for the most part, it was, of the season, I would put this one kind of in the middle. I don't have a lot of negative things to say, but I didn't love it either, except for the Trina bits, because I love her.
Yeah, I didn't love this Aaron Brockovich episode. It was, I don't know, it was middle of the road for me. But because a lot of things, I don't know, just didn't, I don't know, they didn't hold together well for me. But I did like the fact that they didn't seem to have a plan, that they were just kind of talking things out and reasoning things out. That delights me for some reason. It gets a little boring sometimes when folk always know what to do. So to see them kind of be like, well, no, I don't think that's a good idea, or why are we doing that? Well, let's just confront it now. I thought was a nice touch. I was far more intrigued by the gang in the Mystery Machine, Adira and Stamets and Tilly and Book, trying to solve the puzzle in Reno. And Stamets, for me, was full on channeling Mark from Rent. I mean, from the poses to the energy. I wanted him to break out into La Vie Boheme. But I was tickled by that. But yeah, I love him. And I've seen Rent 525,600 times. So it was, yeah, I agree with Trev. It was middle of the road for me. Pot of me.
Well, I love this episode, but like I said, it does benefit from a rewatch. I've seen it 3 times now. Because I was super bored today and was able to work things around. And I also just wanted to get specific details for tonight. Lots that I loved. I think there was a lot going on in this episode, but probably the best Discovery has ever done as a series in balancing a whole bunch. I think I was saying this on an earlier stream the last 2 seasons, towards the end, things started to get really rushed. And while there was a lot that they were weaving into this episode, it didn't feel rushed, other than the plot being the rushing was the plot itself because of the urgency of the situation. We got some really interesting backstory for Raynor and for Reno, and like we got drama and comedy balanced really well. You know, Reno was really funny in this episode, as she always is. I really like seeing Adira and Tilly work together. Adira was not annoying in this episode. Finally, like it worked really well, and I was like, oh my god, I'm finding Adira endearing in this episode. This is what I've been wanting to see. And then with Reno was really fun. I also thought this episode really picked out some really interesting lore and expanded upon it. The Breen were talked about, obviously, by others. I really like what they did with the Breen, but also we got a little tidbit about betazoids and being able to telepathically imprint onto objects. That's really cool world building that we haven't got before. And then I love Tarina. Everything about Tarina in this episode was fantastic. It was clearly an availability issue in production, but I like the way that they ended up explaining it. They gave us some explanation. It worked for me, at least. But I do agree, we know more about other entities and their politics than we do about how the Federation works. This is something I've complained about as well. Like last season, everybody getting a vote, and like, why does the captain get to vote? It's weird, but much better in this episode. And the last thing I'll say before we move on is I really loved the character development with Raynor and Burnham, and how like that really is holding up a mirror to her own development. That scene at that table where, you know, he's being a little xenophobic because of his personal experience, same as she was a little xenophobic about the Klingons and her personal experience. And so it was a really good way of shining a light on her growth in an organic way. And I lied. The actual last thing I'll say is I loved Burnham throughout this episode not being the one doing everything, but being the conductor. Like, she was still the lead of this show, the lead of this episode, but she didn't do everything. She was telling the doctor to do this. She was being a captain. Doctor, keeping him alive, like him dying is not an option. Raynor, what the fuck is up with you? Getting an idea to then feed to Tarina and Vance. Like, she was the connective tissue and critical, without being like what they've done in the past with the character, where like everything leads to Burnham and everything is about her. And so it was really, really cool to see. Those are my top thoughts on this episode. So let's deep dive. One thing, I don't think anybody has mentioned this yet. We got Non back. It's exciting to see Commander Non be as bitchy as ever, which I always love. I love her reminding people that Book is on a redemption tour. He is here trying to make amends. Anybody have thoughts that they wanted to share about Commander Non in this episode?
I just wanted to point out that I realized that Non's return and sort of her commentary on Book and some of the commentary that came during Top Thoughts made me like something that I didn't like at the beginning of the series, or at the beginning of the season, which was the whole breakup between Book and Burnham. Having him there because he has a certain set of skills versus him being the captain's boyfriend works better for me. So like his presence, if he continued to be her partner through this season, would have probably been really annoying. And it's one of the things my mother actually pointed out. Was it last season? Yeah. Where he sort of questioned some things when we were watching it together. He questioned her on the bridge, and there was something. And my mom's like, "Why are they letting this woman be undermined by her boyfriend?" And it like drove her nuts, and it then drove me nuts. So the fact that their relationship is sort of on pause, so to speak, right now, helps me appreciate the fact that he's still there. Because I mean, first of all, I know everybody keeps saying he's being shoehorned. Listen, I'm a Book fan. Book can shoehorn anywhere he wants, in my opinion. But thank you. But I enjoy the fact that that happened in order to facilitate his presence not being as disruptive, but it is still a little bit weird most of the time. And I like Non kind of checking that and putting Non is speaking for the fans, which I like when any character does that.
I love the security uniforms, that little like gray onesie thing. I think it's cool. That's all I have to say. I think Non just shows up at the most random times. Like, why is she the one that's here?
It does always. I think that's my biggest thing about Non is that it just is like it's never unwelcome. Like I always like seeing her, but I'm like, oh, you're here. Hey, it's like seeing an old classmate that you're like, oh, I remember when we used to have fun. Like, but what are you like? Why are you here? Like,
it does seem like they send her in when they need her to do something that maybe might upset Burnham. Like, I don't want to make like a headcanon thing, but she appears anytime they're like, so you have to do this thing we don't like. Here's this friend we have of yours. They'll soften the news. So it feels like that. I don't know if that's necessarily what's happening. I don't want to tread into headcanon waters. I think it's funny that they're like, oh, send the 23rd century one to her. But like, I don't know. I like their little onesie security uniform with their little. I think it's cute. I wanted in Star Trek Online, but it's cute.
Yeah, the security jackets were pretty cool too on her two little goons that were completely useless in this episode.
But they have the little clip in the front that doesn't mean anything. I just love it.
The belt that doesn't serve because it's a onesie. Why would you have a belt?
It's a onesie.
Yeah, it holds her onesie up. But I miss her little Barzan breathing thing. And I know that
Jason in the chat mentioned it too.
Yeah, I know she's not supposed to have it anymore, but
because later on, Walter's doorbell. He's not getting attention.
I would like to go out, please.
Attention. He's just like, no, I'm not getting attention. She had like a little. It wasn't like the little things, but she had little dots at one point last season, and now she doesn't have anything. I didn't see anything.
I think the dots are still there, but like I actually liked can't they just make it like a slimmer thing? Like I don't know. It just like suddenly it's the future, so she can breathe. Like that doesn't make sense.
Her makeup made her look old. They didn't do her any favors. I was like, what is with this beat? Like, ugh.
I was gonna say because the forehead makes her look like those are frown lines. But yeah, I don't know.
I was like I touched on quintessential Trek. This is not a knock on Discovery. This happens so much in the Next Generation. The way that they get out, so easy to like. Why did that force field not go back up immediately once Culber was back in there?
Fun. So I made Jared watch this episode, and the second that they started like talking to each other in the bed, he goes, "This is gonna be one of those cheesy cartoon getaways where he like throws a ball and then suddenly she just escapes." And that was basically exactly what happened.
Also,
like, why couldn't they just? I'm sorry. I just really want. Why couldn't all Culber had to say was, "Computer, seal the room." He doesn't have to fight anyone. Computer, seal the room. That's it.
Or Hugh Culber, MD, grab a fucking hypospray. You're a physician. I appreciate that you've done all this work in the gym and you look fabulous and you went to security training and you can do Kirk Fu. But for the love of God, grab a hypo.
I said this in Text Trek. That was one of the things that I didn't find believable in this episode because I am sorry, like WeHo gaze, muscle gaze. I'm sorry, Dr. Culber. Those muscles are decorative. Like. Yes, he's got some Starfleet training, I guess, but there's not one fighting bone in any of those muscle gaze bodies.
There's no fighting bones in any of their bodies. Like, they should have been able to take Moll.
I got a bone I like to fight with.
And it's shoehorned in book.
Push it. Push the button. Push the button.
I'll shoot him.
I like
Conan
that cut Will's
O'Brien.
comment off. That did just add a little like.
It,
I was like,
the
enough.
yeah, the timing of them is part of the fun a lot of the times. Also, the last one, I forgot to take off Grayson's comments, so that problematic gay alert, if you watch it again, it's just going to be like, I miss her breathing apparatus. Asphyxiation is fun. I'm told.
Well, there are. Oh,
With a bone.
I love that. Apparently, as we found out in the chat, there were some technical difficulties on a real podcast, and some folks have stumbled into ours. So, A, welcome. B, I'm so
we're sorry.
Wait, you know what it's like when you're sitting in a nice hot tub for a while, and then somebody throws you into an ice cold pool. That's much like the experience you'll have here.
That's called your first salon.
Cheers. All right, let's talk about or Trevor, you had something.
Yes, I did. I wanted to just kind of you mentioned Betazoid imprinting on objects. So this season obviously is built on a callback to TNG. It's a really nice callback to Eye of the Beholder. Not the most fabulous episode, but a fun little Troy romp where she bangs Worf, but only for pretend.
Oh yeah.
We would all bang Worf for pretend.
For pretend.
Yeah.
Speaking
Also-
of, I don't know why this reminded me. In my queer only improv class, today our instructor had us bring into class our favorite queer character. And I said this, I'm stretching it, but I'm stretching the definition of queer. But if TNG came out today, I firmly believe Ambassador Loxana Troy, daughter of the fifth house, holder of the sacred chalice of Regs, heir to the holy rings of Betazed, would be queer. Same as I think Riker would be pan. Like that would be canon. I got to be delightfully queer in talking about Loxana today. Super fun. Go Betazeds.
Delightfully queerer.
There's
Yes.
no other way to talk about Loxana.
It's true.
I got to quote her when she met Odo. I can swim. Got a good laugh from people who don't know Trek in the room. It's lovely. All right, let's talk about the Breen. So the adversaries are less the big bad of this season, and now it's turning out to be the Breen. We've got this Primarch coming in. He's the uncle of L'ak. He's trying to get supremacy over the other six. Like what we learned from, like they've hinted at it throughout the season, but then Tarina confirms through Starfleet intelligence and a report from Captain Saru, name drop, not in the episode because he was promoting Hocus Pocus 2. But he will be back. But Captain Saru has informed us there are 6 factions vying for control of the Breen Imperium since their emperor died. And as it turns out, L'ak is the scion. There was hints of it a few episodes ago that he was as the nephew of the Primarch, he should have been more in charge, but he got bumped. Boo. But now we learn, like, oh no, actually he literally should be in charge. And that's why the Primarch wants him. Let's talk about the Breen of it all. Who has thoughts on the Breen of this episode? I see hands. I'm going to go with hands because I appreciate it. I'm going to go to Trevor, then Will. And I saw a couple of winks from Matt. So I feel like going in that direction. And then Joanne. And then Krista, whether you want to say something or not. I see you chewing along and have thoughts.
So he should be in charge, but now he did. So, like, thanks for the setup. Also, is there some, like, issue? Because, okay, I'm going to start over and try to pretend like I haven't been this far into the number of old fashions that I've had. But what is it with the writers of Discovery and, like, uncles and aunts and nephews and nieces? Like, do people not have children? Like, is there a reason he's not like the son or the grandson or the like? Osira had a nephew. Dead Emperor has a nephew. Like, everybody's got a nephew. I love my nephew, but and yeah, he probably will get stuff when I die. But it's a little weird that like that's the line of descent. Like, it just, I don't know. It just feels weird. I don't know why they've picked that particular relationship to glom onto. But yay for nephews in the Star Trek universe. But it's just kind of strange, and I don't quite understand why, when we're not going to get an entire 6th season of exploring the Breen Imperium, are we this deep into titles we've never heard before and nephews of people we've never met before, and it just seems really, really unnecessarily complicated.
Monarchies are weird, man.
I mean, you're not wrong, but still.
I'm going to respectfully disagree. I really like the world building with the Breen because we really didn't see them for very long in DS9. They've always been kind of mentioned, touched on here and there. Like, there's a line about them in Generations. Like, but like I feel like this is like one of the first times where I feel like it feels alien. Like, there always seems to be a touchstone really with like human culture some way regarding some of the alien species. Like there's always like kind of a touchstone of where it is kind of in regards to like how we would relate to it as a human in like ancient cultures specifically, or like other modern nations. But like this one does feel a little bit more I don't know, the names, the people, all this stuff. I'm glad they're not spelling this one out nearly as much for me, because I think it's fun to kind of like discover the culture of the Breen as it kind of unfolds mysteriously. It seems like they're more mysterious than the Romulans at this point. Romulans always like, oh, we're secret, but like these guys are like, we're not telling you shit. Like, it's that neighbor you never met, you never saw them, they're home, they're always there. You're like, this guy scares me. Like, we see them leave, but we don't see them come home, like that sort of thing. Like, I like that about them. The archetype of them being like angry, bloodthirsty people is a little boring, but like tired. I'd say that it's tired because we've gotten that before with the Klingons and all this stuff. So like getting another species that's bloodthirsty or like is a little ridiculous. But them being very like binary in terms of decision is really interesting culturally. But I like it a lot. I mean, I like the Breen in this. I like that they're really. Chris is going for another bottle. We're in for it now, people. But I don't know. It was great. I liked the world building of it a little bit. I know that we're not going to get another season. They didn't know it at the time, but like it's interesting. They're built.
Oh, that was good.
You fucker.
Anyway, fuck. I think it's good. I like they're expanding on an alien we've seen before, but in a fun way.
So here's my thing, and I was just sitting here as you were saying that, and it kind of clicked for me. The Breen now kind of feel like what they do in the show, but
they feel like the Klingons to me.
But a little bit in an interesting way of like, oh, the Romulans were always supposed to be sneaky and we're not supposed to know that much, but like we do know a lot. And the Klingons are bloodthirsty and whatever. The Breen are, like, to your point about like they've always been there. We hear about them, but genuinely it was like this is the first time we're actually learning about them along with everyone else. Like, they have remained that mystery for 800 years. And I kind of really like that it's like, this is the first. I think that's the biggest part I do like about this, is that we are, like, that was a hidden secret, even in, like, canon, that no one had any idea. And
it was more that, like, they're not being sneaky. It's just their culture is so rooted in, like, isolationism and xenophobia that they're like, we don't show our face. We don't do these things. It's like, it's really interesting.
They're also terrifying enough that no one wanted to fuck with them. That everyone was just like universally, you know what?
Look at that fucking thing.
And I should call him. Oh my God. I need to talk about this. I am so happy that we have a super massive ship again. Like, obviously the Star Trek ships are big as it is, but like having like that kind of scale against, you know, I loved that. And of course, actually being able to see, for the most part, all of the different ships. I just, like, I don't even, what's that nebula like one over on the left? I didn't see that one before.
Ooh, I'm glad you
From
said that
last
because
season, I found the guy who designed it.
wait,
It's a
so
cool ship.
the one on the far left is was that the one that was delivering dilithium in the last season? Because we saw it from the side profile
okay.
before. I thought that, but then
Yeah.
from this angle, I was getting actually from this angle, I was getting 32nd century Akira class vibes.
I could see that too. Yeah.
Where's
Like, I definitely think, other way. There we go. Yeah, I loved all of the ship things because that's not even supposed to be like, remember, the Federation headquarters is also a ship. So like
and also
seeing that there is
huge.
another, yeah, but like seeing that there's another type of, you know, structure like that, it's just, and yes, Norman, that's a really good point. When I was thinking supermassive ships, the Voth City ship popped into my head, and I like that's one. I mean, obviously the Borg cube is massive, but like the super massive ones that are to that scale are just, we don't see those enough in Star Trek. And I will say, I give credit where credit's due to Star Wars for having a really nice array of ship sizes. I do wish we had more of that in Star Trek because we have
Also,
like
I will
shuttles.
say the way that they are lit. Ahsoka was, I mean, Andor was really good too, but Ahsoka in particular, the ships, the way you could see them, it looked like they were just still doing model work. It was very solid CGI. And this is too, they like Discovery
It's
is
gorgeous,
a beautiful
just the
show,
lighting.
but their ships have always been so dark and hard to see.
Yeah.
And finally in this episode, not.
But
including I'm rewatching. I have it re-going in the background. At the beginning, the Lockerer, actually being able to see that up close when Discovery jumps in, super cool.
And really good point for Grayson in the chat too. I loved that you saw it had a
Yes.
2-stage warp. If you notice, the back of it charges and then the front.
Yep.
And then seeing that it actually warps subspace a little bit, or whatever, you know, gravitational flux we're going to talk about. Yeah, that was good. I think that was probably the top part of the ship. My one nitpick, I do wish it was a little more asymmetrical. Like the Breen ships were always very asymmetrical, so I do kind of wish they had, like, almost like if you had gone more robotic version of the Gorn ship in Strange New Worlds. I think that would have made a really good Breen ship because it was very, like, anyway.
Joanne?
So I really loved how scared they were of the Breen. Like, the fear was palpable when they beamed into the conference room. And it makes you wonder, like, why? And I guess we get a little hint that they're rogue ass thugs, right? They just do whatever they want when they feel like it, but we kind of don't know why, like what their motivation is. Which I find kind of very compelling for a villain. But then I also don't get the hierarchy and the thing. Like, I think they didn't tell us enough. I wish they had told us less, because I'm like, they gave us just a little too much that I'm like trying to figure out, kind of to Trev's point, Uncle and Scion and Primarch and lions and tigers and bears. So
And no thoughts.
yeah, and no
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata, bitches, right? So, but I do love that everybody was afraid of them, and it makes you wonder, well, why aren't they in charge if everybody's just like, oh shit, it's the Breen, they're gonna kill us. But I guess that's the power of community. Kumbaya.
Krista?
I like the Breen. I like that they're not the Borg, they're not the changelings, they're not the Breen, they're a whole new thing. Although I will say that I find myself offended on behalf of the color green, because it seems all of the shitty things are colored green, and I don't know what their issue is with green. It's a beautiful color, but all shitty things stem from green. So, but I like the hierarchy. I like the 6 warring factions. I like that if one can get a hold of an actual royal blood being, they win. I like that that Rayner had enough information about the opposing Primarch to offer up information to manipulate that situation even further. I like they're unapologetic about their mission, if you will. And I agree with Joanne. I liked the palpable fear. And in addition, I liked that they beamed in their first like 6, and then pop, 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 there were more surrounding the room, as though they had an idea of what that room already looked like. They had an idea of what they were dealing with already. And that's the kind of subtle intimidation that really fucks with you. And I like that they fuck with them. I like that they fuck with the status quo. That's probably not what I'm supposed to feel, but
I love it.
Whatever. Second bottle. So,
and it's a second bottle. Bottoms up, everybody. I don't know why that's a banner. I can't remember, but bottoms up for that. And that's also a beautiful segue to talk. Speaking of not being intimidated, let's talk about this badass bitch. Tarina is mother, and mother is mothering in this episode. The second she started walking in with those shoulder pads, number one, I love that they kept the Romulan shoulder pads as part of Navaran fashion. I love that, like yes, it was a production thing. Yes, like they needed to explain, like, why is one random member's president speaking on behalf. I think, if I may be so bold, a slight mistake that was made last season was referencing a vice president. Because now, in like forevermore, it's like, well, wait, why not the vice president? And to Will's point, they could have appointed Tarina as vice president of the Federation and like give us a line of dialogue of like, the vice president resigned or whatever, or the vice president was killed due to the DMA, and so I've asked Tarina to be my vice president, something along those lines. But the point is, Tarina is a badass, and like throughout the episode, her challenging Rayners, like, xenophobic comments are not going to get us anywhere here. When he quotes the Romulan phrase, "Never turn your back on a Breen."
Ooh, like my daddy would say, she played that picture in that scene. Oh my goodness.
Oh, and when the I've seen this in a couple of different things. The newsroom had a really good, like, no, that's not what he said moment. I loved this moment for Tarina to be like, no, he actually didn't say that. Fuck you. I know he's insulting us. I love this woman. Tara Rosling is doing just a fantastic job in this role, and I'm so glad that they really, like, from her first introduction as the hologram on the Discovery Bridge in season 3 through this season, just top notch. Thoughts on Tarina? Everybody, let's go around me. Let's go to Joanne, Trevor, Matt, Krista, then Will.
So like, she's Vulcan, right? She's not Romulan, right? She's Vulcan. So I think that's also why I was just so appreciated her takedown and read of Rayner for cussing in Vulcan, like, you don't play that card with me. You do not have a pass. You do not get to say these things. You know what I mean? Like, how dare you? And you could tell she was going to read him for filth. And looked at and Vernon's just like, I'm gonna let her too. I loved that whole scene. She's so just in command, and not afraid, to just own her power. But she also in the same way wears her power very gently. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I still like that they didn't just work in the line of dialogue that she's vice president is infuriating because it just makes sense. Or the whatever the Federation's equivalent is to Secretary of State, and then her negotiation makes total sense. Clearly they were at least partially inspired by the wardrobe of Madeleine Albright, because that brooch just makes me think of Madeleine every time I see it for some reason. But she's such a for all of the and I'm going to use the term, so just deal with it. For all the Trek bros that bitch about Star Trek Discovery and its characters, and well, how come the bridge crew, like, even though they're not main characters, that's why. They've done so much development of this character, and it's not even necessarily, it doesn't 100% belong to the writing. It largely belongs to this actor's portrayal of the role. She has taken it, run with it, and made it something that I don't think they could have imagined it to be. And I love her, and I really, really hope she ends up at a con at some point, because she's going to be number one on my autograph list.
I say this without any hesitation. She has been the best character through Discovery for me. Like, and not just from like, oh, this character did that, but like, to Trev's point, her writing, which is very simple. If you pay attention, the writing is very just, here are some lines, go deliver, and look at the impact she can make as an actress. Like, the way she carries herself, the subtle influence that, yes, she is Vulcan, but she is clearly accepting more aspects of her Romulan side while this whole, integration and everything is happening, because she has more emotion than we have seen in other Vulcans, and she like has the nuance. I cannot speak highly. I love every second that she's on screen. I thought that whole scene with her bitch slapping him was like just chef's kiss. It was so good. The whole thing. I love her. I love her. And I actually hope that we see her in some cameos in the Star Trek Academy. Like, I really hope that's, yeah.
Well, I waxed poetic about her earlier, but I think the scene where she bitch slaps and does the correct translation is awesome. But I think even better than that is that shortly after that, she begins to walk around the Ark, and she forces the Breen guy, the whatever his fucking name is. I had some wine, I don't remember, but she forces him to match her versus continuing to cower and continuing to display a bit of intimidation. She kind of takes control of the whole. I mean, I would do her, and that's that's it.
I think that counts. Push the button. That counts.
In the arms of the angel.
You're welcome.
I don't know.
Just
I feel
saying.
like that was an ally. That wasn't very ally. That was straight up problematic gay.
As a straight, I think a straight
Okay.
person wanting to bang in a gay way is an ally being.
That's very
One,
ally. Yeah.
Not for a
2,
woman.
3, 4.
Women are fluid, my friends.
This is fair. Listen, we'll count it.
I
feel
think that's
like
the first time someone's gotten both. Fuck all of y'all. I got them both.
William, what are your thoughts on President Serena?
I like everyone absolutely am thrilled every time she's on screen because I know like it's a character that's written so simply, but from an actress who's taking the material and really like decided what that character is, has not waited for someone to tell her who this person is. She's like, oh no, I know who this bitch is. And it's just like every scene she delivers. Like she's calculating, but she's powerful, but she's also insightful. And it's like she's a lot of things that like I think the show needs in terms of like a moral anchor, like kind of the way she steers kind of the people around her towards like whatever the trajectory is, the trajectory of like the right thing to do. I find her delightful. And if we do see her at a con, I'm gonna be like, bitch, she needs her own show. Like I need the Tarina Saru Travel Channel show. Like I'm down for it.
Yeah.
Like
Ooh, I was gonna say
like,
the Star
give it
Trek
to
West
me.
Wing should have her, but
Oh,
yeah.
well, I mean, period. Yeah. I mean, she's just like that kind of character that you know when she's coming on, she's gonna command it, she's gonna do it, and she's gonna like get like the command she had over the Breen to like go, oh, I know what you're fucking saying. It makes you think like, oh, she heard they probably said some bullshit earlier, and then she's like, I'm not gonna let it slide a second time.
Yeah.
And like that idea that she's like that thing that I sometimes hate about Vulcans being cunning is the thing I like about her. Because sometimes the Vulcans can be a little too, especially when we got into like Enterprise where they're really kind of manipulative and they're doing a lot of really shady shit. Like this is really good because it's like, oh, I love it from her. I don't know if it's because I'm a homosexual and like if I support women, so anytime a woman does something shady, I'm just like, yes, diva, give
Yes.
it to me. But like, I
Work.
think that might be it. But yeah, I love that in a guest star. Like anytime she shows up, I'm like, yes, we're fucking
Yeah.
doing it. Like
I also feel like for the some folks have mentioned the writing for her. I wonder if because they say in screenwriting every character they have what they say and then what is their subtext, what are they actually conveying, what do they think, and I think for Vulcans especially and particularly with Tarina in this episode, her dialogue as written is she is saying the subtext out loud. There's no pretense with this. It's just delivered perfectly.
yeah.
Serena.
She's a really great counter like she does the thing that Burnham kind of does, but not in a like my idea is that Burnham kind of bends the world to her. Like in the earlier seasons, she does this season a lot. But like Tarina's just so good at like getting people to do the thing she wants, which is really great from a character to be able to do that. But in a way where I find very endearing and charming and lovely.
And what a lovely segue into get another character getting what she wants. Let's talk about Tig Notaro in this episode and the trio I am referring to as Zora's Angels in this episode. Like I said, I've been wanting to like Adira, and it's been a struggle this season because I felt like they were backsliding to awkward teenager vibes from seasons past, which felt like it didn't make sense given the growth that the character has had. I thought Blue was especially delightful in this episode, and I really found Adira endearing in the way that she was with Tilly, and then seeing the two of them, like I love Tilly, we've talked about that many times, but seeing the two of them work with Tig, and in this episode that already has so much going on and high stakes and a dangerous situation, to give us this moment of when Adira says, "Wow, you really got around." Oh, I don't mean like that. And Tig just turns and says, "Oh yeah, like that." Chef's kiss. So fantastic. Let's talk about Zora's Angels. Who has thoughts? I see Trevor. Let's go to Trevor first.
I'm only disappointed that we didn't see the three of them walk into Reds because it's the setup for a joke. A non-binary ensign kid, a lesbian, and a bisexual redhead walk into a bar. Like they are a fantastic trio, and they were the trio I didn't realize I was missing, and I love them together. That's all.
Krista, and then Will.
I have to confess, I'm very tired of Adira doing the whole self-depreciation thing. I can't with the deer in the headlights. It's like, find a backbone. You're on the bridge. Do the thing. You're good at what you do. Everyone in God has told you you're good at what you do, and you still insist on vacillating around. It's annoying. And that is my very unsympathetic view of it here.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
the wine talking.
Yeah, well, you've been out the last 2 weeks. Others agree with you, myself included. We've talked about it in the last 2 episodes. I thought it got better in this episode. Like, they at least came out of it. But yeah, William.
I like when Tig just kind of pops in and does something and then leaves. I love that they've given her that leeway as just an actress who just comes in and she's just working. Like, I like that she doesn't stop to talk to them. She's like, I got shit to do. Like,
Yeah.
really fun. And like, I watched that part of where they're asking Tig about books and stuff, and I'm like, couldn't they have just asked Zora this? Like, why are they asking Tig? Like, I get for plot reasons, like it's fun to have the three of these people talking to each other. And I did get the same as you, Stan. I do, for some reason, between this episode and the last one, Adira grew up. So it's like, oh, I found them not insufferable, and like they were kind of a capable ensign, which was really nice to see, because it's like you would have gotten kicked out. They've been like, you're stressed out, you can't be in Starfleet. Like, you're wetting your pants every time something happens, and you're freaking out and anxious. Like, can't trust you on the bridge of a starship when you're stuttering and panicking. You know, like, I get it, but like it does seem like, I mean, they did ask Zora, but like, what Grayson, it felt like Zora should have been able to answer that question.
Zora is a cunt, and
she's like,
Zora is like,
yeah.
Zora's like, I'm only going to answer what you specifically ask me. If you don't ask the right questions,
it's like,
you don't. I don't volunteer information.
You ask a question of Siri, and then she's like,
It is
not today. Like,
it's so interesting. Like, I love the Zora vibe, but she is definitely a downgrade for a starship computer. Like, it's season 4, it was particularly bad, where like she was just like not noticing that some of the crew were gone. Like, come on, Zora. Like, but still delightful, and I love her voice. Yeah, I do love that. Yeah, Tig was just working. She comes in to deliver a few lines. This is one of those things where, like, it was very small universe, and sometimes I don't like it when Trek is small universe. Like, of course, there's one person on the ship who has key information randomly, but I love that it was like, oh, it's not the captain, it's not like the guest star of the week. It's just Tig Notaro. It's Tig in space. Jet Reno happened to have this life before she was in Starfleet, and it was very, very easy, like, plot armor vibe, but like it's Tig, so it like kind of worked for me. Matt, you look like you were about to come off mute. You don't have to. No, then don't. Then don't you dare.
Like
no.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't feel compelled.
You get back on mute then.
You get back on mute, Matt.
Bad bottom.
Oh.
Wow, pot calling the kettle black there.
Speaking of calling the kettle black, I want to point out again that I love that ship, but like, come on, that is definitely a fleshlight, right? Because the other angles that we've seen of this ship were from the rear, because it had the more triangle, the ass of the ship, right?
It had a
like the ass of the ship. Oh, so you're okay. No, I'm getting okay. Maybe, I don't know.
Can someone explain fleshlight for me?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Is that an Urban Dictionary? Because
yes, at this stage, you don't have it open.
I'm scandalized.
It's an adult toy. Yeah, It's an adult.
I just assumed, Krista, at this point you had it as like an extra tab off to the side.
Yes.
That you just kept a running
Like somebody
tally
needs to explain that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you
just
do
imagine-
this?
Chris is like, what are these faggots talking about now? Okay, just.
What? I would not use that word. First of all,
I
It's
know.
not a word to
You
use.
would never. That's me projecting. Yeah, it's an adult toy.
Jake.
That
Think
simulates
of it like, okay, think of it
oral
like if you put warm pudding in a Ziploc bag and then you
You are not making this better.
This is way too specific.
Please God.
No.
This-
Warm
You
pudding
microwaving a snack
from
pack? What are you
personal
doing?
experience.
and then what? Squirt it in my face? Is that what we're talking about?
Listen, I'm not one to kink shame. However, I am going to shame that particular kink.
Oh no! No!
We're gonna get banned from YouTube.
Dang. Oh my god! All these
My
people who
coffee is
stumbled
called Frosted Caramel Nuts, by the way.
Ooh. I knew someone named Frosted Caramel. Ooh. I went to high school with her.
Speaking of book,
Disgusting.
That's my drag name.
All right, enough silliness. Let's talk about this tragic backstory.
we got to draw the line somewhere
Yes.
for the first time in salon history.
Let's queen of segues that I am. Let's talk about this horrific backstory of Rainer.
Wait,
You just bring down the room.
I have a good setup for this. Hold on. I know it's kind of like an intention setter for this subcategory. It's a mini intention. True or false, people would have defended him saying that if it was Cisco saying it. Or Picard. Or literally
saying
any
what?
other captain.
Oh wait, in
Saying
the room?
what?
That was so argumentative and was like, we need to be defending ourselves. We need to be, you guys aren't paying attention. If you see that from another way, because I could totally see Cisco being the one on the other side saying, fuck the diplomacy. We need to be figuring out how we can defend ourselves because look at the Breen. Like, he was saying some perfectly legitimate, like, non-touchy-feely, huggy Starfleet stuff.
I think circumstances matter, and when you've just been demoted for being a jackass, you don't get to be snarky, but you get to be snarky when you've been right a shit ton.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the difference lies for me.
But I mean,
Yeah,
he did have a point, though. Like,
Oh,
I
for
don't know.
sure. And I think it was interesting because the Primarch says later, intentions don't matter, only impact does, which is an interesting thing that a lot of progressive organizations love to say. And I firmly agree that the impact does matter, but I hear this a lot in some of the spaces that I exist where like we ignore intention because of the impact. And I think that there's balance to be had there. Because like you're saying, Rainer was not necessarily wrong, but it wasn't what he was saying, it was how he was saying it.
And it was also the assumption that that wasn't everyone's backup plan to begin with. It was the you're all wrong and I'm the smartest guy in the room approach for someone who, as we've seen and used the term in other episodes against other captains, you were emotionally compromised. Like you're speaking from a place of trauma and you're doing it after disrespecting this organization once.
Right.
So you don't
And
get
it
to
was
do it twice.
And it was just a beautiful mirror to the first season with Burnham being in Rainer's shoes with the Klingons. But yeah, to Matt's point, a white man gets to be emotional. So we shan't be seeing complaints on Twitter about this episode in that aspect, at least. Dipshits.
How is that not a banner yet?
I feel like it probably was during Picard.
Because we don't like to even bring them up.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I already invoked them, and I did spin around 3 times, and spit for the first time in my life. So yeah.
Yeah, he was emotional and racist. They're gonna love him.
Yes. What else have we not talked about? We haven't talked about. Oh,
Ringworm?
they got married,
sorry.
and they got ringworm together.
I feel so bad for him marrying
That's
her.
face.
I can't.
I found her more like other characters. I think Discovery is doing really well this season with their pacing and like sprinkling things out. Like some characters I did not like, and now I kind of do. I still agree she's very annoying, and that wig is awful. But I found her more compelling in this episode than I have in the past. The twist of that they got married in secret, so now you have to take me. Like it also gives us some interesting Breen world building. Like I don't think she's the best adversary that we've seen in Star Trek, but she became at least a little more compelling in this episode than she has been in the past for me.
And I found him more compelling in the episode in which he dies. Like that's what really frustrated me, was that like I was really, really coming around on him, and then I was like, oh shit, now he's dead. Or is he? I don't know.
He had a code. She has a chin attached to her chest and a like malevolent look. I don't feel her. I feel no sympathy. Maybe I got to turn in my girl card, but I feel no sympathy for this bitch. I really don't. I don't like her. I think she's manipulative. She has bad teeth.
I'm also still stuck on, like, she came around for me a little bit this episode, but at the same, I'm still stuck on, she's the bad guy because she has weird eye makeup and makes mean faces. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
It's also surface. It's also like there's no what I've seen, there's no explanation as to why she's such an angry
she has
like what
she has
is
no
problem.
Yeah.
She has no other emotions. Like she's just
there's no
always. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm fully right there with you. I hate her. It's a terrible villain.
Anger is her love language.
I am so paused that she wasn't killed. I would have really I would have enjoyed her being exited out. But no, she's not going to be exited out because she's attached to Book. And we've got to shoehorn the whole thing in. So I have no sympathy for her. She is sullen. She does not acknowledge when anyone is helping her at all. And as far as I can tell, it's this guy that she claims to love, that she has married, he literally sacrifices himself for her. And still she's a sullen cunt. I just can't. Sorry, everybody's family. I got
Hey,
no.
listen.
Fucking, where's the lie? Where's the lie?
No lies detected.
Thank you.
No lies detected. You're welcome. Any other thoughts about Moll and or L'ak and their?
She was also on the Ready Room today. Did you guys see that?
I didn't yet. How was it?
I find her equally unpleasant in real life.
Period.
That's unfortunate.
Joanne said it's
I don't
not
like
the
her.
character.
She's a dime store Nastasia Kinski. I can't fucking deal with her. Fuck off, Tess of the D'Urbervilles.
So she's new. She didn't know anything about the fandom or Trek.
Oh, she about to learn.
Or the universe, and so she's one of those, I'm just really happy to be here kind of girl. That's the kind of vibe she gave, and I
She
was
wants
just
world
like,
peace.
yeah.
Okay,
She's
wait.
just like, woo.
I have also I have a problematic thing to say that I'm getting to the point. If you are auditioning for a show and you know it's Star Trek, like you like, just as a society, like it's not a secret. It's not a small thing. Like, this is not a little kitschy, somebody's little hobby. Like, this is a pretty big thing. If you're going to be in the franchise,
A
you
Peabody
need to get
Award
it.
winning thing.
There it is. Thank you. Yes. So it's like, whenever somebody's like, there's so many people on Discovery that are like, oh yeah, like, I'm not really a Star Trek. Like, get to be one. Lie to us, because like, we need something here.
Do your homework.
Right.
But does anybody think that? I mean, to me, it seems like this was all sort of orchestrated by her. I don't believe that she didn't know who he was. I don't believe that from the beginning.
No, she knew.
Exactly. So the whole, I mean, he's just some sad sack that got laid for the first time. And he's like,
Yes.
wow, this is really great. And
Yeah, it does present, though, as though she locked her eyes on his eye and across a crowded
his
cargo
green
bay.
eye.
And just, he had the foxiest helmet in the room, and it was just destiny.
I wasn't actually on the Salon for that episode, but God, that whole fucking thing, the backstory, give me a break. Okay.
No, I was right there with you on that episode. I hope, I was channeling you on that episode. I did not enjoy the backstory at all. Yeah. I appreciate giving a villain giving the villain a backstory. I just didn't appreciate that backstory. It was Snoozeville.
That wasn't a backstory. That was a back pamphlet. It was a back post-it.
That's fair.
That was a back doodle.
Honestly,
to your point, Matt.
He's completely a victim in this.
It felt like their entire love story took place in like 20 minutes.
A weekend? Was it like, I had to do a couple shipments? Hey, I'm back, sweetie. We should run away. Like,
right.
And a quick fuck on the front of a shuttle, on the nose of the shuttle. Fuck off. He was a victim from the beginning. I pegged it on
that refrigerated dick though was probably amazing.
Push the button.
Wait. Does it stay
ice
jelly?
Cold.
I don't know which one.
Push them both.
In the arms of the angel.
It's special.
I'm just saying, hot.
And that's another Salon T-shirt in the making. That refrigerated dick.
We're gonna get banned from STLV.
If he takes the mask off and his face does this whole kind of movable morphing thing, I'm just saying.
Does the dick do that too? Is it jelly?
Is that what you were asking?
Is it cold jello? Is that what you're
value in that, in the whole cunnilingus.
You're like, is it like?
It's not warm pudding. It's cold jello.
It's probably like a cloaca or something. Like, it comes out of something. You know, it's like. Can we do that as a salon where we just talk about what all these species' genitalia should look like? That'd be really fun.
That is a Salon Away team topic.
Salon After Dark.
Join us for an extra special episode of
a Patreon only episode where we talk about what we think Vulcan penises look like.
Nobody's gonna pay to hear us talk about dick. Well, maybe they will.
Well, they might.
We
might make a couple bucks.
Listen.
He doesn't have any lips. I don't even understand how you kiss. He doesn't have any lips.
That doesn't stop some people, girl. That doesn't stop some people.
Yeah.
Looking like an open wound.
I'm just saying, lips are important in all
Looking like a knife wound.
cases. Lips are very important. Children.
I did drunkenly tell someone once, don't come for me unless you have an upper lip. And that man walked away from me. I did it. I don't have many things going for me. I have a full set of hair, a full set of lips, and a full head of hair. That's all I got going for me. Everything else is just rubbish.
I have 4 set of lips. Oh, wait, please edit this out. Oh.
No, we're clipping it. We're clipping this one.
Not possible.
Push the fucking button.
Which
Does it
one?
do a weird blah, blah thing when you take the mask off? Anyway,
It doesn't
sorry.
matter. That one feels wrong, but we'll
That's not a
take it.
paging alert.
It felt
Wow.
closer. I don't know.
We could add it to the category that doesn't yet have a graphic, which I think this falls into that category. It's the first time that it's been uttered by someone other than Matt. But Matt's
Wait.
confusing problematic something alert, it's definitely that.
Problematic question marks.
Yeah.
If anyone else is going to get it, Krista's
Yeah.
my top choice of the
Fair.
first one. So, you
Fair.
know.
There was somebody on TikTok the other day that was like ranting about Gen Z or whatever. It's like, some of y'all only care about shopping and being mean to each other and blah, blah, blah. And I had to stitch and be like, listen, that's not homophobic, but it feels homophobic because those are some pillars in the community. How dare you?
Those are two of my best hobbies.
What have we not talked about in this episode that we should talk about? Let's go through all my visuals. We've talked about that.
You did work hard on them. We talked about the
We've-
fleshlight.
They do look
Talked
great.
about the flashlight and the Akira class, I think.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
talked about not fucking with mother.
Yes.
We talked about that.
Oh, can you go
Again,
back one? Okay. This doesn't happen often, but I'm giving you bonus points, Stan.
for the second time ever?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You're gonna tell me why later or now?
That's a fucking brilliant title. Who Keller in the World? Come on.
Thank you.
That's some of your best work.
Yeah, thank you. Some of these, they're hard, okay? Sometimes it's very obvious, stupid jokes. 7 of Limes, we need to come up with a drink. I know a few people have floated out some things. We need,
Mojito.
well,
Ooh.
okay.
What do you mean? Oh, okay.
Well, because like it's 7.
What do you have against rum?
No, nothing. How dare you? She got me through college. I also dropped out of college, but 7 of Limes. Like I think of 7 and 7. I think of 7 Up. I think of
Tequila.
Yeah, like I feel like
it's a version of the Nanarita because it's the Nanarita in its purest form is very line forward.
so line forward.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've talked about spit as lube. We've talked about sick bay. That cosplay alert, that jacket, and I wanted in other colors for sure.
Not even cosplay. I just want the jacket.
Yeah. Oh, right. That works. I finally, a friend of mine, he offered to do this like a year ago, and ADHD alert. I finally got a friend of mine took 2 hoodies and chopped off the top of them to then sew onto the bottom of the other. So one of them, instead of being all maroon, it's black at the bottom and maroon up top, very DS9 uniform vibes. And the other one has red at the top, or vice versa, and very TNG vibes. Super fun, just in time for the summer. But I'm excited to get use out of them because I love jackets. We've talked about that. We've talked about all of these things, except to say we're coming in for a landing pretty soon. But I mentioned I have a theory that Locke is not dead. I'm wondering if so we're coming to the end here, sadly. The progenitor tech is rumored to potentially be able to bring the dead back. This setup thus far would see, if Locke is truly dead, this setup would be, I think, the longest amount of time that we've seen a character dead and then come back without some kind of MacGuffin to make it make sense. Like there's no Katra like in Star Trek 3. There's no and the Genesis planet. Borg nanoprobes don't apply because it's been more than 18 hours with Neelix. We don't have a copy of his memories because he's not an android. So I am wondering if, like, the lesson that the society is going to learn, because this power is too powerful. That's why they broke it up into clues and they made it super hard. And they don't want, like, Janal didn't want to give his clue unless we're at peacetime and I can trust you. Moll wants this to resurrect Locke. What if Starfleet gets it and they're like, no, like, this is too powerful. We can't do this. So, like, what are they going to do? Are they going to, maybe they do resurrect him because he is the Scion and they need somebody in their camp to stop the Breen Imperium from going to war with the Federation? Or what if they actually don't need the progenitor tech for him specifically because he overdosed on tricordrazine, which is not a stimulant, but the opposite of the stimulant in words that I know, sedative. And we've seen alien species be able to do this. Like, could he have tricked his own doctor, his own people, in what he did? I'm just asking questions. I know I'm not RFK. I don't have worms in my brain.
Wait,
but I'm just asking questions.
I just had a thought that what if, and it feels...
Are you okay?
Was it lonely?
I'm sorry, you set me up so easily, Matthew. You're adorable. What was your thought, babe?
When I have to rub my head, it hurts.
This
I know
explains
thinking's
this.
hard.
Really hurts. Anyway, what if at the end of this, and this feels like a very Discovery thing to do, especially knowing that the entire series is over, what if at the end of this, they somehow manage to make the device undo the burn? Like, bring back everyone that was killed in the burn and the DMA and every other thing that has happened in the last 3 seasons, basically.
I do wonder if they're going to pose that as a possibility and like a moral question that they have to answer. Like, is it right to do that?
But I feel like it's
you'd
very
have to have
Avengers Endgame, like, yeah.
It feels like you'd have to have a body, though.
But we don't know.
Would you? We don't know how this technology works.
Yeah.
But
Would
you're not
they just
taking
say
it-
that it...
They're going to Thanos snap. It. Oh my God, it's the Infinity Gauntlet. That's what the
That's what I
progenitor's tech
mean.
is.
Like,
It just could be infinity via reincarnation. The continuation of the soul. Or...
What if the progenitor's tech was just the friends we meet along the way? Oh.
I mean, that would be very...
I feel like that's not far off.
That would be very Discovery, and let's be honest with ourselves, the Chase vibes. Because remember, Solemn Gens was like, we wanted you to have to work together. And I was like, they did not work together to answer that puzzle. Also, happy birthday, Solemn Gens. I think today, definitely this week.
I wouldn't be surprised if Locke comes back. That there's some kind of, he's in some kind of like...
Yeah, my question is he not actually dead, or does he actually come back from the dead? I believe he's coming back.
And he takes over the whole thing, but he's an ally. Which would be boring, really.
I don't know. I'm with Grayson. She's pregnant, and because it's Breen hybrid, they come out fully grown, and it's him. Ta-da!
So she gives birth to her own lover?
Listen, we're not going to kink shame on this Salon.
It's not the weirdest thing that's ever happened.
There are lines, and I'm drawing it on incest.
I don't know how to... I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to try. But the actor that plays Locke, adorable headshot on both Twitter and on the Star Trek Las Vegas.
Oh, he could get it.
Page. Yeah.
Now he was delightful on the Ready Room. They were on there together. He's delightful. He's delightful.
So the counter
He's
to
delightful.
extremely unpleasant.
Wait, can we also just appreciate the look in Joanne's eye when she said, "He's delightful"? He's like, there was. I loved that. I loved that. There was a statement. It was a.
No, the difference is between I'm just being polite and he could get it is a fraction of a dilation of Joanne's pupils. It's you have to pay close attention.
Wow. I see. We have no close up of Joanne and her dilated pupils.
Bitch, and you will not, right?
All right, what else? Anything we haven't discussed about this episode, folks want to bring up, or anybody in the chat throw out a topic for our intrepid saloners. We've got up to, though we don't have to use them, 25 minutes. We try to end before the 2-hour mark.
When we all turn into pumpkins.
I can start doing plugs at lower decks _S6, inspired by TNG season 8 on Twitter, as a call to renew Star Trek Lower Decks, which was sadly canceled, but excited for the 5th season coming up. Will and I have done some nonsense on that account.
It's true.
Boo.
Fun game for you to find which ones I wrote and which ones Stan's wrote.
The good ones are Will's.
Oh, that'd be a
Clearly.
good thumbs war. Like, who wrote it? Who said it? But wait. Can we talk about why was Book in the conference room at the end of the show?
Yeah.
Because Book can go into any room he wants to go in.
Is he like the president of Quay John since he's the only one?
Joanne is
so he gets
coming for the jugular.
Damn.
Based on the Quajani order of succession, yes.
He's
I was like, inappropriate for him to be at this table.
Yeah, like last season too. I mean, this one made a little more sense. He's been involved in this mission for a minute. He knows he was the one doing the helping Culber with the psychological profile of them. It did not make sense, but it made more sense than him being in other rooms of import in the past.
I guess. I mean, no, it made more sense to me when, your whole world blew up. So yeah, you got to speak on their behalf. But now I'm just like, you were just the operative, and it's your kind of quasi sister. So wait on the ship for me. Like, go back to the room.
That's right. Want to give a plug. Our friends over at Geek Filter and others. I think Text Trek is involved as well. Save the date, May 25th. We want to encourage everybody to watch Star Trek Lower Decks. Literally just put it on your Paramount Plus and watch it from episode 1 through whatever. We want to help show that we love this show and we want it back for a season 6, especially since, again, I said this a few weeks ago. It's not that it was canceled. It's that they didn't give them the opportunity to know, like, this will be your last season. Give them an out. But hopefully this can help highlight that we want more Lower Decks, or at least let them finish out their story. Tell us, give us a TV movie, so all hands on deck, May 25th. And in the meantime, if you want to just be fun for me, give at lower decks _S6 a follow on Twitter and get into the fun. For example, Admiral Not a Villain returns to the Cerritos and takes temporary command in their search for an ancient power source. Tendi and Mariner form a book club.
I didn't write that one.
That one was me. Oh, this is a fun one from Will. The gang uncovers a centuries-old conspiracy as to why the transporter conveniently stops working at high-stakes moments. Billups and Shaq start a band.
That was me.
Wait,
At least
are
the
we
first
talking
half.
about fanfic? What are we doing here?
Oh, it's like so the history of this is that's how like the creator of Lower Decks kind of got Lower Decks. You used to tweet like hypothetical season 8 episodes of TNG on
Okay.
Twitter, and like he had a book that was published with all of them, and like it kind of helped him kind of develop so it was kind of his Twitter. So we've hijacked the idea and are now doing it as a Cerritos Lower Decks thing.
Yeah, it's a TNG season 8. The Enterprise plunges saucer first into a temporal wave, turning everyone into babies. Will they turn back into adults by episode end? Yes.
They're great. There's a lot of them where like Riker falls in love with random alien. Like Data learns to tap dance. Like there are a lot of shit like that. Like they're really funny. But
so we're blatantly ripping it off and doing a Lower Decks version. So give us a follow, like, and reshare.
Star Wars stole the premise for Prodigy. We can steal that.
Oh my God. Trek Twitter discourse this week has been all over the place.
Right.
More unhinged than usual.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not Dadmiral vibes, but it's something.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Other plugs for this show. We are obviously at Salon Trek here on YouTube. Please subscribe. We are trying to get to 75 subscribers this month. It's my birthday month, so subscribe as a gift to me. Would definitely appreciate a subscribe. Be sure to like and comment on our videos. We do this live Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, but they stay up on YouTube. So if you can't watch live, check it out whenever is convenient for you. But again, please subscribe, like, share it with your friends. It really helps us grow. And who would not want this nonsense to be seen by their friends and family? We are also at Salon Trek on Twitter and Bluetooth. We're coming to the end, folks. On Twitter and Blue Sky. Yeah.
Apparently, half of Krista's bottle of wine jumped into Stanley.
Yes. A transporter accident made me whine.
It's amazing.
Yeah, follow us at Salon Trek in all of the places. Trevor, bring us home. Give us the tally.
And before I do that, I'll answer Jake the Nerd's question. No, we will not have a booth, but we will be roaming. Several of us will be at STOV roaming around, handing out Salon appropriate items. So we hope to see you there. In terms of the tally,
we have a Salon fleshlight coming in honor of Krista.
Wow. Okay.
It's called the Krista.
It's called the Krista. It's the size of Girth. It's a bottle of wine, like Girthmaster.
Salon, yes. Salon the fleshlight. Salon the bookmark. Salon the flamethrower.
But enough about Matt's nickname in college.
You fuckers.
All right, here it comes, folks. 7 problematic gay alerts. Congratulations to all of you.
Good job, everybody.
2 problematic ally alerts, 1 painting alert, and 1 more. So we've now doubled the number of Matt's confusing problematic something alerts. Congratulations, Krista, for achieving that.
And it
bonus
wasn't
points.
even me.
Bonus points. 25 to Stan for Who Color in the World. Thank you very much, sir. 200 to Will for Hallmark fan theories. 200 to Matt, which were advanced from last week. I bet you thought I'd forget, but I promised you that you would get an advancement because of something you said in our after conversation. 69 million to Krista for getting both. An additional 20 to Krista for C-word ringtone realness. And 1,000,001 bonus points to Joanne for her frosted caramel nuts.
Nice.
Right.
Oh.
Delightful as always. This is the favorite part of my week. I love spending this time with my fellow saloners. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Huge thank you to the audience and being lively in the chat. It's always fun to have that interaction. This was a lovely episode to talk about. We've got 3 more in this season. So join us next week, Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, to talk about the 8th episode of the 5th season of Star Trek Discovery. And until then, we hope everybody subscribes to us on YouTube, likes, comments, and follows on Twitter, Blue Sky, and BlueTube. Why not? And that's it, y'all. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And may you all live long and prosper.